Hey, good morning. It's Kevin. Today is Sunday, the 21st of February 2021. So there's lots of twos and lots of ones in today's date. Let's see. It's a 2 and it's a 21 and it's a 21. So duality, I suppose. I don't know. I'm just pointing out the fact that I'm now noticing. Whoops, excuse me. I'm hoping this is not blasting your eardrums. I'm just noticing now. Things that show up now for me don't always show up. You know what I'm saying? I'm noticing all the twos and the ones. Like I think I came in on the 12th and said the same thing. Next month I'll probably be going into the threes because it's the third month of the year. Um, and it thinks or seems, at least here, last couple of days, that spring is about to pop. I came out of a turning yesterday or the day before, and I was looking along the hedgerows, and I don't know plants, but I noticed along the hedges some shrubbery, wild shrubbery, and the blooming of these tiny lilac blooms were coming, and I'm thinking, oh, here's spring on its way in, the newness of spring, the harshness of winter, and it has been for many very harsh. I did a little meditation Thursday, Friday into that sort of the newness of what was happening, and just to tune in to see what energy I could pick up and get, in light of how Texas, and I don't think just that state, you had other states neighboring it that were experiencing some rather harsh weather. Maybe harsh is putting it mildly. Those folks were not used to doing what they were doing, boiling water and such. So, I'm sending prayers out to send whatever energy they need to help them, because I think when you go along the status quo in life and you just accept things as being wonderful, or you take those wonderful things and those gifts and those blessings for granted, when it gets taken away or gets jolted or gets bumped or gets pushed or gets shoved, particularly at a time when many folks have got used to having what they want instantly and getting what they want now, and not really having to face harsh realities of real challenges and struggles, turning the water on and assuming that whatever water treatment plant has cleaned it for you. Not possible for them. And I'm thinking, wow, what do we do as we're moving into a new era of, we haven't necessarily been very kind to the planet. We haven't necessarily been very kind to each other. And yet when it gets taken away, when the conveniences of clean drinking water, fuel, ways to heat, ways to keep things going happen, we don't know what to do. We don't know how to act and how to react. Those things are troublesome, bothersome. So what do you end up with when you find yourself in that turmoil? I feel like it's like a drain, you know what I'm saying? You've got the clean water coming in to wash your dishes and the dirty water going out. What do you do when you're in that cycle? You get in that cycle of wow. And then I was watching a man who wasn't worried about whose fault it was and where people that make decisions were. He was just opening up his furniture shop, inviting everybody in. And then somebody else took that lead and they opened up a gymnasium and used the gym floor as a feeding center and a place for people to stay. Said, okay, come on, you need it, here we go. So there are those things. There are folks who, okay, well, I can do what I can do. Let's just step up and do it. That's the two sides of it. Those that have an expectation of convenience and demanding what they need when they need it and they need it now. And those who see the need of others and step up and do it. Which brings me to our fabulous. I love how all these stories tie into what we talk about. And I used to wonder, I don't anymore, there must be some kind of energy out there that's just rolling us along. Well, I don't need to worry about that anymore because there is always, never alone. Here we go. Here is our cards of the day. Look at those two. Now, I will say, this guardian, this guardian angel card has popped out all and every day this week. I've not always shared them, but I'm just so blessed and grateful that it keeps popping up. So it lets me know. I believe that this card now for me is the indication that I'm not ever alone. There's never any thing going wrong, that we're always on the right pathway, and all the messages that we're supposed to get will always be the right ones. So thank you to my guardian angel that just now I feel like has finally felt like I'm paying attention. And before we move on to why these two show up, and incidentally, if you already know why they're showing up for you, if you're seeing these two together and you're getting the gist of, oh, forgiveness and understanding and the guardian angels here, if you're getting messages already, if you're receiving information about these two, then that's the information, that's the message that you need to get. We live in a society or a culture that is programmed to see things as being good and bad, right and wrong, yin and yang, black and white. And for some circumstances, that's correct. But in many, 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 many cases, there is obviously what most humans have been taught is a grey area, shading, the part that blends the two. A little bit of this, a piece of that. And it follows the track of, in the human conditioning, moral and legal. What does the law say? Well, then they are sometimes, and more often than not, on two different sides of any argument, any situation where there is adversity. When you come up against adversities of life, the dilemmas are always, what is the legal way and what is the moral way? And you know, long years, decades ago, we were ruled by the religions, in particularly Christianity and Catholicism. Nobody ever said anything about Buddhism, Hinduism, Muslims. No one ever mentioned those, because I think back in the day, Europe felt like it was the superpower and it had the right to tell the world how it was going to be. Certainly where I'm from, the British Isles, and they call them Isles because it was made up of several countries that were joining, similar to Europe. Wales is a country, Scotland is a country, Ireland is a country, which the British decided, no, we're going to rule all of you. And then some. As I grew up, the child in the late 60s and 70s, North and South Ireland were at odds, and all because of something political. So all that to say, as we now move into an era of challenges, There is the moral challenge and the legal challenge. And those two are bumping heads. They are trying to make sense of what is seemingly confusing. And I think for me, personally, I look at these polar opposing or the polar opposites as being an opportunity to blend, to shade it in, to choose something better, something that is a little more cohesive to where we're going. Certainly, I believe that reformation is always possible if it's going to lead to something better. And you almost have to have balance, and the balance is the opposite ends of the scale. The one end, which is just totally chaotic and seemingly awful and terrible to some, and the other end, which is joy and love and all of the things that the majority, I believe, would like to have. So where is the blend? I've recently been open to a group, Angel Certification Group, and I've read some comments and commented on them on Facebook, and they are quite delightful. And what struck me more than anything this week is, wow, I'm reading how these folks in this group are celebrating what they're learning. Some are posting their certifications up, their credentials, and I'm so in awe of how proud they are of doing this work, of accomplishing things and awakening up to the gifts that have always been there. And I'm reminded of something I learned from another angel whisperer, Maudie Fowler, who said that God, which I believe is source energy, is where we all come from. I don't think God is actually a man in human form. It's in everything. Grass, everything is part of God's energy, including some of the things that we are not quite so sure we like is still part of God's energy. God qualifies those who are called, who stand up and say, yes, I want to do this. If you're already qualified, or believe that you're qualified, or believe that you've got those qualifications and credentials, well, then you don't need to be called. You're already there, or you believe you're already there, so do it. So let's get to this message of forgiveness and understanding. Oof. Again, I felt like this showed up for me personally. I have moved into new space, and it's not come without its challenges. And I found myself stuck in, well, it's a beautiful space. It's gorgeous. It was set up for you. It was there for you. You knew as soon as you walked in the room that the energy was exactly what it needed to be for you. I'm talking in terms of how I have behaved, as far as then all the complaints about it not being a certain way. I found myself doing that. Yes, there were challenges, small challenges. And yes, I went down the blame drain. I call it the blame drain because it's draining. The lesson I learned is exactly that. The blaming is draining. I should put that on a post-it note because I like the way that sounds. I felt exhausted talking about just how things were not the way I felt that they should be. And I went into that whole tirade. Mentally, it brought me down. So thankfully, I learned, oh, let's turn this into grace and gratitude and harmony and love and joy. Because there isn't joy in pointing fingers. There's not joy in saying it's somebody's fault. There isn't. It just isn't. And I'm even grateful for learning those lessons the hard way. I'm even grateful for the lessons of saying, "Oof, I wasn't exactly on the up and up with that, with those thoughts and those feelings. Um, so I need to clean it up um, and not get bogged down by it. Oftentimes, many times, especially in times of adversity, we're faced with people that we've known a long time that don't act, behave, give, or take in the ways that we expect them to. Well, how can they be expected to do what we want them to do? We're not in charge of who they are. And so when that comes up, the best way to handle it is to understand what was the intention. Was it intentional? Did this person mean to do it? And then release it and let it go. Many, many times when we believe people have done something wrong, there's that right and wrong thing. They've done something to affront us. There's something underneath there that needs to be looked at. An expectation we had that we didn't voice and say didn't materialize, didn't happen the way we thought it would. And I find that a lot with folks who give gifts to other people. I have to speak for myself because I think, well, I've got to use it as an example. I can't exactly arbitrarily say this person and that person. But I find when folks give things like it's a birthday or it's a celebration of sorts, and you give a person a gift and you've gone and you've thought about it and you've taken time, and the reaction that they give isn't one that you were expecting. So the human conditioning takes it somewhere and automatically makes it believe that they didn't like it or they don't like you or how ungrateful they are. I mean, we go to those places of judgment right away because we didn't get the response we wanted. I'd rather have an authentic response and be able to say to somebody, I appreciate you just for showing up. I appreciate you for being here in my life. I appreciate what you offer me. It's okay. And lately I've had to learn to do that, to forgive and understand. To forgive and understand, and it's constant. It's okay. But what I will say, the more it happens, the faster it happens, the lighter, brighter, cheerful, and easier things are. I don't find myself reacting quite as quickly as I used to. I do find that the non-physical messages, like the unheard messages, that I hear it, but I think, oh, I get that impression. I do that. Like, oh, there's a reaction here. Where's that coming from? And the message is pretty quick. They need their time, or this is not the right time, or they've got it, they've received it, and later on they'll let you know they like it. I've often shared with people who feel like they're unappreciated or they feel like nobody gets them, doesn't want them. They don't see you until you're not there. That's the truth. Think about people who have left the earth, who've died. You don't see them, think about them, honor them, respect them, bless them until they've passed and they've gone. So in looking at these two today, what's the message behind them? Your guardian angel's always been with you. They've been with you since you were created. I believe that totally. I believe that we've got a twin that is part of who we are. We're at one, and that twin lives in spirit world and is with you all the time. How can you imagine that this twin guardian angel that's been with you, that swoops in when things are getting a bit hairy and they pull you right on out of that danger? How do you think they feel when you don't even acknowledge that they're there? Or you acknowledge them briefly, oh, thank you, thank God. When you say, oh, thank God, oh, thank God. That's the guardian angel doing the work they were gladly doing unconditionally, without doubt, bringing you things instantly that you didn't think you could find. And oh, there it is. Oh, thank God, found my keys. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, thank goodness I'm not late. Oh, thank God I'm late, but you're still willing to see me. all those things, the angel got in the way and made all that happen. And how many times do we not say thank you? Thanks for being here. Thanks for showing me that you love me and care about me enough to make that happen, to do that. The more we do it, the more we have gratitude and grace for the small, little, tiny things that we just really don't acknowledge, the more those tiny things are going to continue, and they get bigger and they get bigger and they get bigger and they get bigger. So the forgiveness and understanding is that if the world and the work of spirit, love, joy, harmony, peace, all the things we do when we meditate here, is able to forgive us, understand that we have faults and that we have indiscretions that we don't necessarily acknowledge all the time. The angel world forgives us and they understand that this is human error. It's okay. But it's time to move on, to release it, to not hold on to it, to let it go. And the more we can start to do it, learn it, let it go, understand it, the less burdens we have to let go, because we're in the habit of doing it, of just doing it. It's okay, don't worry about it. It's fine, I got it. Because we really do have it. I don't know why. Well, I do know. For my own situation, wrongfully, it has let me feel better to blame, which is not right. That's wrong. And then to go in that space of joy and love and peace and kumbaya and all the rest of it you want. You can't expect all the good intentions in your life to manifest perfectly if the way you're going about getting them isn't as perfect as it should be. Meaning you're not in the grace and gratitude and you're not learning to let go and let things move. Yesterday, I think I shared with you about manifesting what you want to have happen. And I said that I was getting a little tired of, Charlotte was not the city that I remember it being. And now it has turned angry and I find it, out there in the road. Well, I'm reminded as I did my meditation last night privately that wherever you go, there you are. Just because your neighborhood today might seem a little different and not quite so right, is that the reason? Is that a good enough reason to pick up and run? Pick up and go, pick up and disappear and escape. And I thought about that like, oh, wow. When the time for moving, the time for going is right, the pathway forward will be lit up. And you'll just go. And whenever that is, it will know it's right. But to run and hide just because things are getting just a tiny bit challenging. And the challenges pop up right on the heels of growth. When there's a big growth coming or a big growth just taking place, those challenges, those feelings of all that shows up. And now, as far as my plans to do what I would like to do, I'm going to visualize it and put myself in those situations just to see, is this just fantasy, me wanting to escape the reality of making this big growth, making this big move, and the fear that what have I done? Because most people don't do these things in the middle of a world crisis. They just don't. I do. It's not wrong. I just think, I'm just going to keep going with this and open it up. What I do feel like is important, and I'll share, is I like the idea of doing some more of this work, of doing some more of this digging into spirit, listening to messages, opening myself up for folks who want to learn a bit more about it, learn what their own angel guides are saying, even what the spirit guides are saying, even going back into the channeling that I did 15, 20 years ago, where I would sit in sessions and allow the world of spirit to come in and talk. I think it's time to pull that back out. All right, let's go to the daily reading and do our meditation. There, done. Melody Beatty's Journey to the Heart. And yesterday we did that Journey to the Heart. The night 20th was Spread Your Wings and Fly. Today is Let Love Be. That's today's. You can't control love. It's impossible. It's like screaming and screeching and begging a rose to unfold faster, better, or differently. Love is energy, an active, living force that runs its threads through all life, through all of the universe. But we can't control love. It is not its nature to be controlled. It's futile to stand with our hands in our pockets and our heels dug into the ground saying, I shall control the course of love, or I shall allow another to control me, because I'm afraid love will go away. Oh, I got a hit. We can open our hearts and let love run through us. We can open our hearts and receive love. We can open our eyes and see universal love all around us, in places we never saw it before. We can awaken our souls and see that all these experiences have been lessons of love. Learning courage, faith, patience. Learning to love ourselves when it looked and felt as if no one else did. Learning to express our creativity, express our emotions, and experience joy. Each one has been a lesson of love. We have learned to let love be and be open to what that is and the new direction it may lead us in. Love is a powerful living force that permeates the universe and funnels through us. We don't lead it. It leads and guides us. Honor the guidance of your heart, and you will be honoring the guidance of love. Oof. It's not weird. It's just different that in October, November, December, somewhere in there, I was looking for the one word mantra that I was going to use this whole year to guide me forward in whatever work I was going to do and whatever world this was going to end up coming to. And love was the word I chose all for this whole year. It may not be just for a year, maybe going on longer. So now with that said, it is time to meditate, and let's put our feet flat on the floor. And for this morning, allow the palms to face upward. Just get settled in, start your breath up. You can pull your shoulders up and back. Just get centered into where your physical body is now, today, and at the time that you're getting this. Bring your consciousness, which is now on the inside, to a specific place in your body, hopefully your feet. You can try lifting the toes and spreading them out, pressing the center of both heels down, pressing the seat into the chair or the floor, whatever you're seated on. Pull your spine up, open up your chest. Just adjust the posture that creates the biggest opening that you can find, that allows the energy to flow through your bones and out through your muscles, through the layers upon layers of your skin and beyond. Whatever posture you should take to open all that up, do it. Thank you, Archangel Michael, and all the higher energies and entities, guides, and angels for showing us that you're here. Thank you for removing and cutting the ties that tether us to people, places, situations, stories that we no longer need and no longer serve our purpose. And thank you for cutting these ties and binds and removing these obstacles now. We declare that we are safe and free. We lift the burdens and the weight of the world from our shoulders and give thanks for the joy and the space of love that is replaced. So it is, and so shall it be. Bring your hands over your heart. I am the keeper of my mind and my thoughts, my body. Wherever joy, love, happiness, and forgiveness is present, fear is a stranger. Love, joy, happiness, light, forgiveness, ease is here. And so it is. Now experience the beautiful light coming down from above you. Let this light, this energy, flow from the inside of your bones, your skeletons, out to your muscles and tissues. And see this light swirling, energetically moving, creating a force field, a bubble, a sphere. Around you. Bring your center of consciousness to your third eye center. Imagine yourself in a meadow. Feel the grass See the colour of the grass. Imagine the colour of the sky. Notice whether there are clouds or if it's a clear blue sky. And out in front of you, across the meadow, is a gate in the corner. Leading into the woods, make your way over to the gate. Go through the gate and into the woods. There is a pathway. Follow the pathway. As you walk along, notice any flowers. Notice how the trees and the hedges form a canopy. Reaching up and over you. Notice how the birds chirping, singing. Notice the rustling of a breeze moving the leaves on the trees and the bushes. Up ahead, see an opening and a clearing in the woods. Small opening, the clearing just large enough for you to go through. Make your way into the clearing. You're surrounded by small trees and shrubs, wildflowers, and then up above you there is an opening where the sun is shining down through between the trees. Notice how the sunbeam seems like a spotlight. See yourself seated As you're seated looking at this beam of sun coming down and hitting the ground, begin to see the particles reflected by the sun start to form a shape. The more you work with breath in this special sacred place that's been provided for you, an angel appears. Allow this vision to take whatever form. Accept it, acknowledge it, thank your angel for coming. Ask your angel to reveal just to you the message they need for you to know. You may ask at this time if there are other guides, and thank any other angels, any other guides, any other spirits that wish to come. Thank them for coming. Watch as the visions appear in front of you just as they are. Know that your spirit guides, your angels, are curious about you. For those in the spirit world, this is a different experience. If this is your first time, this will be a different experience for you too. The ability to trust the experience, has been hardwired into your soul, into your spirit, since you were created. It is the simplest, easiest skill set you have. Your natural ability to trust. Is one with your intuition that shows you what to trust. Trust and intuition also show you what not to do, who not to trust. Continue conversing with your angels and your spirit guides. Express to them your gratitude and your love. By feeling this gratitude and feeling this love and feeling this joy, you will be attracting more of their energy, more of their clarity, and more of their ability to trust you. Study the features and any other image you get from your guardian angel and the other angels or your spirit guides. Allow this visualization to create a memory in your mind. Gently acknowledge these energies for coming with you this morning. Make your way out of the woods. Follow the pathway to the gate. Make your way through the gate, back into the meadow. Bring your hands to prayer at heart center and continue with your breath. Lift your thumb knuckles to third eye center. Together we bow and say, Namaste. The light in me honors the love and the light within you. Wow. What I'm learning about these processes is being connected to something other than the physical form takes some practice to remember it. And there are many folks who don't quite trust it. But on some level, I believe that we all do. When things are unexplained, happen outside the physical realms of possibility, but they're still possible, I just give thanks they happened and stop questioning it. But it takes a while to get there. It does take a while to get there, especially if you're working in a world, physical work in a world, a career, your world is entrenched in the actual physical work. There's work and then there's light work. It's still work. Much work is non-physical, much work is physical. The physical work often doesn't necessarily open up folks for doing the light work, spiritual work, which is why the two worlds don't quite understand each other. But they're still necessary. And just to finish up this segment for this morning, when it comes to forgiving, the first act of forgiveness is with self. So have you found yourself speaking ill of others, pointing fingers, laying blame, getting upset? Do what you need to do to reconcile that. Is it necessary to go to the person you've affronted or feel like may have created the offense within you? Use your intuition and trust on whether or not that's appropriate, because sometimes you can say to somebody something and you have to ask if you're asking for their forgiveness. What if they didn't know that you were thinking ill thoughts or saying unkind things? If they're unaware that that's what you've been doing in your head and your mind and your thoughts, then that might be a bit odd for them to see you asking for the forgiveness that they didn't know they'd done anything. Oftentimes too, when there is a physical challenge between two people, for those of us doing the work and lifting and letting go, that's simple and easy. But for other people it isn't. And so to approach a person with that idea that, well, I want you to know I'm sorry for thinking, saying, doing, whatever it was. If they're not ready there, if they're not there yet, that's okay too. But also know that that can spark more issues. I don't know that it would, I don't know that it wouldn't. But there are folks who need to feel and be in the dark for a bit. Sometimes what I've found is sending up desires of forgiveness and understanding comes in the form of a card, thinking about you, or simply 2 words, I'm sorry, popping it in the mail, if you know them well enough to know that, oh, when they get that, they might. But there's the other piece of forgiveness and understanding. if it comes from a place where you're looking to be let off the hook, or you have an expectation that things are going to be, you're going to get what you want from it. I'm not suggesting you personally that's watching this, but you know what happens. That's manipulation. And that is intentional. To know that if I ask forgiveness for doing this, I'll get what I want for that. I'm not saying any of you are doing it, but we've seen it go on. That's intentional. And that's almost bumping into the karmic mess. I call it getting into spiritual weeds. All right, my friends, listen, I love you very much. I thank you for tuning in. I believe I'll be here tomorrow, Monday, and for the next week on Facebook Live. And I've made a decision starting March the 1st, because it's spring and I need to. I'm going to broadcast this directly to YouTube. I'm not saying I'll take my Facebook page down, because the salon, that's how people find me. It's how they go to the website. It's how they make appointments for get their hair done. But I've got to choose one platform or another, and I'm going to focus myself down into the YouTube place, and I'll upload it afterwards. But the live will happen in the YouTube platform. All right, so I believe March 1st is when I'll launch that. Thanks so much. Have a good one. Bye.